Hello, welcome. Happy Monday. We're gonna talk Mama's Boy and the Other Way. Tonight. Kara's gonna join us tonight, which is awesome. I'm a little distracted, guys. Like we have this massive storm coming, and it's kind of making me nervous. Hey, Gina. It's kind of making me nervous, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all know I can't swim, so the idea of like a hurricane hitting here and like flooding everything is kind of scary. So I'm a little distracted right now, right? So let's get Kara in here so we can get started because there was a really good episode on tonight of The Other Way, and we're gonna get into that. Hello, TJ, Diva Speaks. Hey, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good so far. I'm still above water, so I'm good.
So stressed about you.
I'm stressed too, right? Like they're making this seem like it's gonna be a big deal. And you know what? I used to live in Ohio, and every time it was gonna be a blizzard, the news made a big deal. And sometimes we wake up the next day after they close down the whole city, and nothing happens. So
Yeah,
I'm just hoping that.
snow's a little bit different. I go through that a lot here, but if they
Yeah,
said hurricane, I'm out.
I'm hoping that it's just not as bad. I know for the coast it's gonna be bad, right? It's gonna be better. It is what it is, but I'm farther away, so I'm just hoping everyone is
I don't know.
safe.
I'm praying all night
Me
for
too.
you.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to talk about The Other Way, right? Because some stuff happened tonight that I want to get into. Where do I want to start? I think I want to start with, oh yeah, Joanne and her kids, Joey and Sean. So her son Joey is kind of pissed, right? And his reactions. He's a passive aggressive person, right? Like he's not a confrontation person, but he showed his mom that he was upset by saying he wanted to leave, and he's really questioning, like, well, where does this leave me and your son and our lives? And I think that that's a pretty valid question. And, I'm not going to be nasty, right? Like, they were dragging Joanne tonight on Twitter, on X. They were dragging her through the mud. They were mopping. They were painting with her face. Like, they were really taking her through.
Too, as I was watching it.
Right? And I know that love makes people crazy and it makes them make decisions that are not fully thought out and right, but everyone is just like at this place where they're like, you have children, and and I say this a lot, a mother can have many hats. Once you become a mother, that's not the only thing that you are, but it's a big part of who you are. So people are in this spot where they're like, what kind of person who has like an 8-year-old son? We're leaving Joey out of the equation for a second because Joey's 18, which isn't grown, but he's 18. But like, we're talking about her other son. Like, where is her mindset that she's just willing to abandon this child for a unemployed boxer who lives with his mom, right? Like, they're trying to fathom. And I get that love is crazy, right? We've watched this show and we watch a lot of people. They seem to fall in love with people and we can't figure out what they see in that person. And I'm just at that place too where what's so great about Sean? I'm just trying to understand.
It's her responses. I know love makes you stupid, but her responses when he said, okay, so where does that leave us? And she said, well, I'll be coming back and forth to New York. Well, what if something happens and I need help? So essentially, in this kid's mind, he's thinking he's going to have to raise the little brother. Then she says, oh, you don't have to raise him. So I'm like, okay, that's good. And then she says, there's plenty of friends and family. So you're just bailing and hoping that family steps up?
Yeah, she's basically saying it's not your responsibility, but somebody. She's like your grandma, your dad, your aunt. She's basically delegating this authority. We saw this with Shekinah, right? We've seen this isn't the first time we've seen a mom, choose herself over her kids. And I think that there's nothing wrong with choosing yourself. It's when you're choosing a man. I think that's what gets underneath people's skin because your kids, a man will never understand the bond between a mom and their child because men can't birth children. So like men love kids, but at the same time, men aren't bonded the way women are. So when you see a mom choose a man over her flesh and blood that she brought into this world, it kind of makes you judge her. And I know it's a double standard, right? Because we don't judge men as much for doing this because my dad did it. He left me and my family, made another family, left that family, made another family, and he just kept doing it. We don't seem to judge men as much for it. But I don't know, people on X, they were just like, what kind of mother are you? You know, and
Joey had a really good comment when he said, everyone has to work around your schedule. And now you're leaving. It's like rubbing salt in the wounds. This kid is very hurt by this. He's handling it really maturely, but he's pissed. Rightfully so.
I think that he's like handling it like a man, right? Like men don't know how to put their emotions into words, but with him, the fewer words he gives her, the more pissed you can tell that he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to say it, but he's basically saying, well, what about us? You chose a life, you decided to make a life for yourself, and it's in another country, and we're just supposed to sit here and be without you. And I think that that's a really hurtful thing. Maybe if she would have discussed it and they would have talked about it ahead of time before she married him. Because I feel like the fact that she married him, it just basically is saying, I don't care what you think. Right?
2 years ago.
Right.
2 years.
Because she's like, oh, we can talk about it. And Joe is just like, well, what's there to talk about? You've already done it. You've made your decision. And it's a lose-lose. He's like, I either lose you or I say I don't want you to do this and you lose him. And then you're pissed off at me. And now we're not going to have a good relationship because you're going to look at me as the person who stopped you from doing what you wanted to do. So he's right. There's nothing positive that's ever going to come out of this. Somebody's going to get hurt.
And I don't care how she spins it. These kids have to be seeing if she does move there and leaves them here, she's literally going to help Sean raise his daughter. So she's just picking up another family. Sorry, hopefully the family steps up and can raise you, but yeah.
But also, they have no plan because Sean doesn't even have a place. Like for me, if this was really gonna work, Sean should have had a place for them to go of his own.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have anywhere. Like he didn't plan anything. You're thinking of taking in a woman and her 2 kids. You don't even have your own home.
Yep.
You don't even have a job. Like how are you preparing a place for them to come to make them feel safe? You live with your mom in your 30s.
Yeah.
You know, like you and another thing that bothered me, everyone is now aware, including Bella, but he didn't bring anyone to meet his mom.
Yeah.
He's still keeping all of this a secret from his mom, who's clearly a big part of his life. He lives with her. Yeah. So it's like, I still don't know how real this is, right? Because if you look at it, Sean isn't really compromising anything. He doesn't have to leave. He doesn't have to uproot his life. He doesn't have to leave his daughter. He doesn't have to do anything that he doesn't want to do. The only person that has to compromise and lose anything is Joanne.
Exactly.
Right? He doesn't have to do it. Nothing in his life will be inconvenienced whatsoever if this works or if it doesn't.
Yes.
He's literally in a win-win situation. If it doesn't work, he still has Joanne to be his sugar mama because you know that's what's going on.
Yep.
You know that's what's going on. She hasn't said it, but I freaking know. I know for a fact she's sending this man money. I don't know how much. I don't know what he's telling her he needs it for, but I know for a fact she's sending him money. And even if it does work, she's going to come over there and she's probably going to put him in a house and take care of him. Either way, he's going to win. Right? There's no losing in this situation for Sean.
And now he's getting paid from TLC on top of it. So
you're right. He's getting like $1,000 an episode now to be on a show. This is hard for me because I don't want to drag nobody. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. I don't kick people while they're down, right? Like you get tackled, I'll help you up. I'm not going to kick you while you're down. But it's a fine line between shitty human being and making bad choices, right? Like, and she's like skating right on that line. And it's hard for me because I'm just like, you got to know that your 8-year-old needs you.
Absolutely.
Nobody should have to explain that to you. Your son, your mom, your best friend, nobody can explain it to you. You just have to know. That makes you a good person. Yeah. And you can't just say, oh, well, you know, whatever you want to do. Your kids shouldn't have to choose having a mom or not having a mom.
Exactly.
That's not a choice.
And then not only did you spring it on him, this is your stepsister and your stepdad, and this is another country. You have 1 week to decide if you want to move here.
They don't even know anything about the country. And first of all,
did she discuss it with their dad? Did she tell the dad, I'm married to someone in Ireland. I'm thinking about uprooting our children and moving them over there. All she said was, you've got your dad and your grandparents and blah, blah, blah. So dad's in the picture, but nothing brought up about it.
I hate to say this, I think that her plan is she's gonna tell the dad, and the dad's gonna say, "Well, you're not taking my kids," and then she gets a get out of jail free card
Yep.
because she's gonna say, "Well, I would bring you with me, but your dad refuses,"
Yep.
and then she's
100%.
gonna be like, "It's out of my hands because your dad won't let me take you," and then she's gonna make it look like, "Well, I would have been there for you, but you're," and she's gonna use their dad as the scapegoat.
Yes.
I feel like that's because I don't know any dad, because we saw this with Rachel, right? Rachel
Yep.
Waters, she was raising a child, and everything she wanted was in the UK.
Yep.
And since she was raising a child with someone that she wasn't with, it was his decision. If he wanted to say yes, he could say yes. If he wanted to say no, he could say no. And he said no. He wanted to be a part of his child's life. Most dads do, right?
Yep.
So I think she knows deep down, this is bullshit. The
Absolutely.
dad is going to hear what she wants to do, and they're probably not even on good terms. Usually when someone is divorced, and they have kids and they're sharing cousins, they don't want to help the other person.
Yes.
Right? They only want to help their kids. So he's going to hear this story. First of all, he's going to drag her for it, which he should.
Also, my other thought on that is if the dad is in the picture, which it sounds like he very much is, she was probably getting child support and or alimony or spousal support of some sort. And now, because they got married in Ireland, that it doesn't show in the United States. So he was probably paying for the last couple of years. And she just
okay. And she was taking that money and giving it to Sean.
Yep.
I feel like that's what Tiger Lily was doing. And I feel like she's taking money from ex and giving it to a new man. That's a whole nother thing.
Yep.
But that's probably true, because you're right. You can get married overseas, and because in the US, if somebody gets married, that stuff shows up. Like, just like if you're getting child support and a guy switches jobs to another job, the county or wherever he lives, that information is eventually, it's going to show up. You're going to be able to see that, because if you're getting taxes taken out, that is going to be reported. So she didn't have to worry about losing her money because, and I was wondering why it was a secret. That might be part of it, because if her ex-husband found out about it, he would have stopped, he would have filed a motion 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
Hey, if she's in a relationship with another man, that other man can take care of her. I don't need to take care of her anymore.
Yep.
And maybe that was one of the reasons why she didn't want to tell anyone.
I that's exactly what I think. 100%.
There's so many layers to this story, and again, I don't want to drag nobody, but I feel bad for the kids, right? The kids are, because I was a kid, right? And I would have never wanted to make a decision at 8 or at 18. Hell, I'll just be real, 8 or 18, whether or not I wanted my mom in another country or not. Yeah. I don't want my mom in another country now. Like, it's because if I need to see her, if something happens and she needs to see me, 30 hours on a plane might not be enough time. And something might happen, and you can't get there. And when you have kids in school, when the school calls and they need to talk to the mother or the father, how are you gonna get there?
Yeah.
Because I was
I'm just a phone call away. No, you're not.
Well,
you are not.
Sometimes when the kids get in trouble at school, the parent has to come in physically, to handle that, and the kid can't come back to school till they talk to someone. So you can't raise a child from another country. Ask Shekinah, you can't do it.
You can't,
right?
You can't say you're just a phone call away when there's a whole entire ocean between you guys.
Well, right. You're like time zones, and isn't it a whole different day there? I don't know tomorrow.
I don't know what Ireland is, but I know the time zone is significant.
Yeah, it might not even be today. It might be tomorrow though. Like, you're not even like in the same time zone. Okay, so I want to talk about Shekinah because she's having her 3rd nose job done. I wasn't surprised it was nose job number 3. Were you? I thought it was probably more.
I thought it was number 2, honestly. Really? But I was dying when the doctor said that her nose is droopy.
Well, yeah. I mean, the doctor, I feel like the doctor was very honest. Yeah. And I hate to say this because this came up on the show, and Sarper said something that resonated with me, which I'm very embarrassed about. He said that you're going to keep having these surgeries and you're eventually going to just turn into every other girl. And he's made the point that he made, it's weird coming from him because he does the same thing. But he was like, you get lost in these surgeries and then you look you all look the same. And it's true. These women, they have the surgeries and they look like a puffer fish.
Yeah.
Right? They got puffy lips, puffy cheeks, puffy, everything's puffy.
Yeah.
And I said this on Twitter because I was like, I really hope that she kind of gets a hold of herself during these surgeries, because a lot of people online feel like she's kind of already looking sort of like a drag queen.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's crazy because we've seen the pictures of her years and years ago. This isn't her first time on TV, first time doing this. She's very pretty. And I think she's at that threshold where if you do anything else, you're going to start looking like you are from another planet.
Yep.
Right? And, you know, she's kind of there now.
What he said that really pissed me off is he's like, she doesn't need it. She's beautiful just the way she is. But hold on, I'm the one that has to look at it every day. Let me show you what I want you to do.
Well, yeah, but he also weighs her.
I know.
So if she's beautiful just the way she is, he also, remember at the tell-all, she had to call him on FaceTime to show him what the food choices were at lunch so he could approve it.
Yeah.
But she's beautiful the way she is, right? That is just, oh my God.
Okay, so the doctor said, so Sarper says, how long is the surgery? 3 hours. So he immediately goes to, oh my gosh, it's 3 to 4 hours. And his brain starts spiraling. He says, she's going to be unconscious for 3 hours. I guarantee he's trying to figure out a side piece. She's going to be unconscious. She won't know. She'll think he's there.
So he won't need to be there. Yeah. That's interesting that you said that, because the nurse said no sex for, it was 30 days, right?
Yeah, and then that changed almost instantly.
So like a week or something?
No, so Shekinah said, so the nurse explains the blood pressure and making your nose bleed and all of that stuff. Shekinah says, what if I'm not doing the work? What if he does all the work? And the nurse goes, oh, you'll be fine then.
But do you think that she's acting this way because she knows, how do I put this nicely? If she's not giving it to him, he's going to find it. Do you think? Because first of all, if the doctor tells you don't have sex, don't have sex.
Yes.
Right? Like, they tell you that for a reason.
But what kind of a doctor's office is this that gives you advice, post-surgical advice? You can't do this. Well, what if I did it this way? Okay, then you're fine.
Well, I'm assuming that this is one of those, like, doctors. I don't want to say Dr. Miami because he's a real doctor, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, one of those Hollywood doctors where...
Well, I mean, it's where Darcy and Stacy went to get bought.
Yeah, right? Like as long as your payment is approved at the front, whatever you want goes, right? I feel like it's one of those doctors. Or, you know, when you go to Mexico, okay, so you know when you are trying to go on Dr. Nazardin's show, he makes you lose like 150 pounds on your own. But if you go to Mexico, you just pay, and if your payment is approved up front, you do whatever you want. You don't have to actually do anything. I feel like it's one of those situations. I don't want to like say he's not a doctor. I think he's a doctor, but I think morally he's not like the type of doctor I would want operating on me. Just I was like, I need you to have some morals. And he also said something that was weird too. He was like, "We'll do our best," and I was like, "No, don't do your best. Don't kill me." You know, there's like, I need you to do more than your best. You know, when I hear somebody screwed up or whatever, they're like, I really tried my best. So no, that statement scares me a little bit coming from a surgeon, because I've heard of people dying on the operating table. This is not something. So don't do your best. Do your absolute best work, right? Like, don't give me. I need you to convince me that you know what you're doing, and that didn't convince me at all.
The other best part of it is that she can't brush her teeth for a week.
Yeah, that was crazy, right? I brush my teeth like in the morning and then at night. I had like really bad teeth hygiene. Younger, I had like a lot of cavities. So like when I got older, I started taking care of my teeth. So the idea of not brushing my teeth is just crazy. It would bother me. Like if I don't brush, I could feel plaque.
Absolutely.
If I don't, like I can feel it. So it's like if I don't do, like, I don't know, that was really weird for me. Yeah. But I mean, I get, you know, it's close to the area. You could accidentally maneuver in a way that causes you to make something worse. It is what it is. Yeah. But I think that the reason why she was so eager to stay in Turkey was because of the cheap plastic surgery. Yes. Right? I don't think it's because Sarper lives there. I think it was more so that, oh yeah, he lives there, and also there's like a dime a dozen of surgeons who will do whatever you want as long as your payment goes through, right? Like I feel like that was like reason number one.
I agree 100% on that.
All right, so James and Tata were back, and James has been there for 6 months. They're broke. They're also having a second wedding, which is something that broke people don't typically do.
Literally, I'm so confused.
I'm confused too. Remember when Lily was like, "Oh, I'm super broke," and then they would go out to eat, or then they would go to the spa, and they have a 5-story house with an elevator, and I was like, "Y'all are not doing what broke people do. You're confusing me." So James is saying that the wedding cost $1,500 US, but like in the Philippines, that's probably equal to like what, 10 grand?
It is 15,751,000 rupees.
Holy crap, we're in millions.
So
yeah, this is a big wedding.
Many freaking banana chips do you have to sell?
Well,
to get 50?
They're not selling banana chips. Remember, he's not even doing that.
Right, but how did her dad get rich?
Selling banana chips.
Okay.
But I'm assuming all the kids were doing it for free. Like, I think they all were all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And I think that's how they were able to, because if you don't have to pay anyone, it's all in the family. It's a lot easier.
But let's talk about what they make there. So she said she is a data scientist, right?
Yes.
I thought, wow, that has to be a really good profession, especially because you can only do it, 9 hours away and blah, blah, blah. So I looked it up. The average salary for a data scientist in Indonesia is 8,600,000 rupees, which is equivalent to $50 a month.
In US dollars.
In US dollars.
Oh. So that's like
$50 a month.
But how many hours would you have to work? Like,
that's salary. That's a monthly wage for a data scientist.
Oh my God. So I understand why James says it's probably time to go back. I understand. Because even, let's be real.
Stop freaking crying. All she does is cry.
Well, I think that she's very contradicting. Yeah. Like she said, she's like, oh, we can't just sit around my parents' house and not help them and help pay. But then also, anytime James brings up money and how they need to make money, she starts crying and gets pissed off. So it's very contradicting. It's like,
he is very adult, trying to be very responsible. He's like, I'm the man. I need to take care of you. I need to be self-sufficient. He's very adult. She is very teenager.
Well,
very.
Yeah, I think she's never had the responsibility. He said it tonight too, because he was like, you just don't like to think about the financial side of things. And I think it's not that she doesn't like to, she just never had to. Mm-hmm. I think she's the baby of her family, first of all. So that's always going to make it difficult, to mature being the baby, because they get whatever they want. I came around as the baby too. So with the struggle was behind the family, so they were doing better. And like for her family, they're doing really well. And I think she came around when the family started doing well. So she never saw struggle. She never had to think about money. It was just always there. And I think that she's under the impression that she can't leave it's Indonesia, right? Yeah, Indonesia, because America was making her sick. Did you hear that? She said tonight, she was like, being in America made me sick. And I was like,
remember she had the thyroid problems?
Yeah.
That is
and she said
to fix hair.
She said that they went to lots of doctors.
Yep.
And no one understood what was going on, which I don't believe. Right? Like, I go to my physician if I have an issue, and if he can't understand what's going on, they refer me to a specialist.
Yes.
And, I had issues this year, actually, where I had to go to several specialists. But, I want to say 3 or 4 visits, I knew what was wrong.
Right.
And
you didn't.
It started.
If I was in Indonesia, I would have already known what was wrong.
I think that she just doesn't like the U.S., which that is her God-given right. We can like things and dislike things. That is our right as a human being. But she doesn't want to just say that. Yeah. I think that she wants to have like an excuse, because she's like, well, I gave him 3 years in the U.S. and he's been here 6 weeks, and he's not giving me the same amount of time. So I think that she suffered through 3 years in the US, which I don't even know if it was a suffer. I mean, I get being away from your family and your friends and being in a country where you don't feel connected. You know, she no, she might not have saw a lot of people that look like her, talk like her, could speak her language. So I get the
Right.
connection there. But I don't even know if she was like suffering because she didn't really work. You know, she
Yeah.
made her jewelry, and she also said something interesting. She's like, when we were in the U.S., all you ever did was work. I don't think that she understands somebody has to work. I
Yes.
think that she's under the impression that you can just live
Yep.
and exist. Somebody has to work, you know, and some families, they find a good medium. The man wants to work, the woman wants to work, or somebody works full time, somebody only works part time. You can find a medium, but I think that in
Right.
her mind, working is not something she likes, but she also doesn't like it if he does it because she feels alone. And I get it. In the U.S., you know, she might not know as many people as she did. She grew up in the Indonesia, so there's childhood friends, cousins, family. There's more people. I get feeling alone, but if someone's not making any money,
Yeah.
life cannot go on, right? Like I hate to say that, but it's like your life will like cease to exist as you know it if somebody's not going to work.
Right. And also, James had another very, very good point about her dad. Well, he said her dad's controlling and intrusive, which he may or may not be, but he says you cannot have a love life living in your parents' house. Like, can you imagine moving to another country with your wife in the same house as your parents and trying to be romantic at any given time when you never know if the dad's going to barge in just because he's bored?
See, that is
Yeah.
impossible. Okay, so when I was growing up, my mom, I don't want to use the word crazy. I'm going to use the word helicopter parent. So look, my mom was super nosy. Like I remember my brother, he would not talk to her, right? And he's
Yeah.
done stuff that he got in trouble for. She took the doors off the hinges of our rooms so
Mm-hmm.
she could just see what we were doing.
That's
So
so
like when you said that, like the idea of me trying to bring a
right.
woman into the house, there was no door on the
Yeah.
hinge. Like there would be no love life, period, because there's no door. Like my mom
Right.
didn't. The only time we could go in a room and close the door was the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like my mom was just so into whatever we were doing because my brother and sister, you know, they gave her a hard time. You know,
Yeah.
they made things difficult for her. So she really, really kept a super close eye. And I think that for him, they're still. I mean, they've been married for what, 2 years, 3 years. It's not a new relationship, but moving to a new country and trying to reconnect with your
I thought
wife.
haven't they been married for like 5 years?
Oh, was it 5?
Yeah, I think they've been married for a while.
Oh, they've been
Yes,
married
yes,
for long.
yes, because she did say, well, probably 4 years, because she did say that they got married. Their wedding was a COVID wedding.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
2020. Yup. And nobody could come. Yep, you nailed it. Yeah, 2020 COVID wedding. So yeah, I think, and she said she gave him 3 years. Oh yeah, you're right. Because didn't they get married and then he came back to the U.S.
Yeah.
and then she eventually, when her visa got approved, she joined him here. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, and then they had 3 years in I think Florida they
Yeah.
were in, and then Connecticut, somewhere over there, right?
Yeah,
And
somewhere over there.
she hated it, which
Mm-hmm.
I get. You know, being in a snowy state, it's not fun because I don't think it snows in Indonesia. So that's a
Right.
really big adjustment.
Yeah.
First one, I remember when I left Louisiana and went to Ohio, I never really adjusted to being cold all the time.
Yeah.
I hated it. My body hated it.
So in Oregon, we're in the layering season. So yesterday morning when I got up, it was 17 degrees.
Oh,
So you dress for winter. And then when I got home, it was 87. So
that's a thing.
you just, yeah, you just it's layering season. Most people have summer, winter, spring, and fall. We have summer, and then we have layering
That's so
season, and then
extreme, though. That's like,
it's terrible.
how,
You just dress super warm in the morning, and as the day goes on, you just start taking a shirt
well,
off.
yeah, I was
Or
gonna say, like, I don't know how I would dress. I would just wear everything, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah,
Oh wow, that's I don't even know the last time I wore a hoodie here.
yeah,
So that's so extreme. Like, oh, I got excited because starting in a couple of weeks, the low is gonna be like in the
yeah.
60s, and like that's really cold here. So I was like, oh man, I could like wear a hoodie outside.
We're
17 degrees.
all week this week, high 80s. But our lows are like bring your plants in lows.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
so Josh, Jared, and Lily went out and they went to this place and they tried some Chinese food. Jared had a conversation with Lily, which I thought was interesting because Josh and Lily have been trying to talk about this money situation for like 4 episodes or so, maybe 5. They haven't gotten anywhere. Jared was able to get some info out of Lily. So she said that she wants him to feel more grateful and appreciative of the things that she does. It's not that she cares about how much money it is. It's more so like, you should be more grateful that I did it. And it made me think, is that okay in a marriage?
No.
Because when you're married, that's kind of like how you would make your child feel. Like if your child needed something and it costs a lot of money, you're like, I love you. Your mom or dad loves you because I did this. You're like, that's not what you do to your husband. He's a grown adult. So I feel like that's still a negative trait, to make somebody feel like, well, every time you do something for them, they have to like kiss your feet, and say, thank you for all you've done for me, your royal highness.
That's my thing. I always say, do not ever, ever, ever do anything for me if you ever hold it over my head once.
See, I'm the same way. I tell people, if you do something for me, don't expect anything in return.
Yep.
And then I'll do the same. I just want to help or do it because I want to. Because I've had that situation actually with family members where they did something for me, and then like down the line they're like, "Oh, I need $5,000. Remember when I did this for you?" And I'm thinking okay. So yeah, I want people to know like, hey, favors for me are not favors. I just want to be a kindness of the heart. Like if you need it, ask me and I'll do it. But like, I'm not gonna ever text you and say, hey, remember last year when you needed this and I did it? I need this. Like, I hate that. Yeah. And I really wish that people would stop the trend of, because I think a lot of people, they look at it like we have each other's back, if we need anything, whatever. But they take it to the point where they make you feel bad if you don't help.
Yep.
And I think that's where it gets to me. And I think Josh isn't used to that either, because when you get married and you're unable to work, you already feel like you're a burden.
Yeah.
And then every time she does something for him, she's like, oh, by the way, thanks to you, I just had to pay this. Or, hey, thanks to you, I don't have any more money and I remodeled this house for you. So now I'm struggling. It's like, eventually I would just leave. Like, honestly, eventually.
Every single episode this far, she's brought up money somehow, some way, somehow. It's been how much she spent on food or the house or this or that. And then she says she feels unloved. Well, obviously he doesn't want to show you affection. You're too busy kicking him while he's down. You brought up how much you spent on him. He felt like shit, and then you're like, oh, I don't know why he's not loving on me. Well, because he's too busy over there, wiping his tears.
They haven't even had sex since he's been there. And I think the reason why is because she makes him feel like he's a guest in his own home. Absolutely. I guess is the best way to put it. Like he's a uninvited guest in the home, and he's a burden, and he's a what's the word? Can't think of the word now. But he's basically causing her issues because he's there.
I feel bad for him. I like Josh and I like Lily, but I don't like them together. I think she makes him feel less of a man than she needs to.
That's so funny. I said the same thing.
Yeah.
On Twitter, I was like, I like them both, but I think that they don't belong together. And I think you're 190% right. They're nice people apart.
Yeah.
But to make a relationship or marriage work, it's never gonna work. They're never gonna be able to see eye to eye. Even if Josh had a job, even if he had a job in China, he wouldn't make as much as Lily, and she's still gonna do the same thing. She's gonna make him feel bad because he'll be whatever he brings home. She's gonna say, "I make 4 times as much as you."
Yeah.
And if you made more, I wouldn't have to do that. Like, it's always gonna be a thing. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing because I know in their culture in China, men are supposed to take care of women, and I think maybe she has this power complex because she's a woman who can do a man's job. And I don't know if she's like rolling with that and she feels like, how some people have this one great quality about them and they just always talk about it. I feel like maybe this is her flex.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm a rich woman in China. That's not a common thing. And she always has to remind people that I did this, not a man, I did this. And, good for her.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing for women to be independent and do what people said they couldn't. I think that's amazing, but I think after a while she's gonna keep nibbling at Josh's balls until they fall off, and then he's just gonna be like, I'm done.
But
I'm done being emasculate, right?
We're also still trying to figure out if she's a rich woman or if she's a part of a rich family.
Well, yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah.
We did. And I remember I told you the daughter is in blockbuster movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm beginning to think her family's rich.
Yeah.
Because I think Josh said on Twitter or somewhere that it's like over there is like $15 for a massage. And she does like massages and beauty products and lotions and oils. I don't think she bought a 5-story house doing $15 massages. I think that the daughter's rich and maybe there's other people, you know, because sometimes it's like a Baldwin situation, right? Like everybody in the family has a bunch of money, you know, so I think maybe they're just all rich and it's not necessarily her money, it's family money, and she's making it seem like she's an entrepreneur.
Right.
But, you know, she's using her family's money to keep up the appearance of being a rich person.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Thank God we had no Statler and Dempsey, though. I wasn't sad.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, they weren't on tonight. And, yeah, you're right. I didn't miss them. You know, I feel like it's the same shit every day with them. So, yeah, we didn't have them. And it was okay. So I want to talk about Mama's Boy a little bit because I watched this episode tonight. And apparently Shahid was getting his 13th cavity filled. That's a lot, right? Like 13's a lot, right? I know when I was younger, I've had like 1 or 2 cavities at once, and my mom thought it was just awful. But I was like, wow, 13, that's kind of crazy. So he's getting his 13th cavity filled, and he's one of those people. My mom told me about these people when I was younger, where they eat 1 piece of candy and they get a cavity. Because I used to think it was a myth, because I was like, I'm pretty sure you can have a piece of candy. Because my mom was like, oh, you shouldn't be eating candy, you'll get cavities. There's people who can't eat candy because they literally get cavities all the time. He's that guy.
Yeah.
Right? So apparently Nyla's buying him candy. And at first I thought maybe he was diabetic because the way that they were talking about him having candy, it seemed like detrimental to his life.
Yeah.
But he's not. He just gets cavities. And they had
I absolutely cannot with this mom. She pisses me off so bad.
So no Nia for you. You're not a Nia fan.
100% no.
Wait, Dia. I think her name is Dia.
Dia, yes.
So she
feeding him
takes money. She said that she took money out of his account before, and then he would go to spend money, and the card would decline.
Yeah.
So that's kind of wild to me because what if he
4? Leave your kid's money alone. He's a grown-ass man. If he can't figure out how to spend it right, that's on you as a parent for not teaching him how to grow up.
Well, he lives in her house. So any habits that he has, I'm going to go ahead and say he learned them there.
Yep.
Right? And not being responsible for yourself or having to be responsible for anything is enabling, you know, because she was like calling Nyla an enabler in this episode. And I was like, see, I don't agree. I feel like the only enabler I'm looking at is you. Like you put him on a pedestal, you worship him, and you let him do anything he wants to do except date. It's the one thing she draws the line with. She won't let him date. And she's making it impossible for him to create relationships outside of her and his relationship. And I think that's the worst thing that you can do. Because I don't want to sound morbid or whatever, but we don't get to keep our parents forever. Right. So the only strong relationship that he's ever had in his life is with his mom. What happens after that relationship? How is he ever going to have a healthy relationship with anyone if she doesn't allow him to?
Yep. So she's feeding him like cake batter off the bowl, off the beater, off her finger. I almost lost it right there, but then she started flossing his teeth and smelling it. I cannot with that. I cannot with that. I'm not a fan of Nyla. Not a fan, but I do feel sorry for her for having to deal with this shit show. Like, also, I don't know. I have never been able to look at my kid and go, okay, we're going to the dentist. Around here, we have to make appointments. So.
Well, yeah, and it was also like around Thanksgiving. Yep. Remember they had Thanksgiving dinner? So I was like, who do you know that you can get a dentist from? I remember I needed a root canal, like emergency. I had to wait 3 days in pain.
Yep.
Like, I don't know anybody that I can just walk into the dentist office
My
whenever I want to get.
coworker literally just had to go and sit in the emergency room until 4 a.m. because she couldn't get a dentist appointment. Her dentist appointment was set so far out. She was there till 4 a.m. and they finally got her in for an emergency extraction the following day. But that girl went through hell just to get into a dentist. And
Yeah.
that was recent.
So, Gina, the reason why that had to happen is because he had a winery date scheduled and she had to derail the winery. And keep in mind, this is the second time that she derailed the winery date, because if you remember correctly, when Nyla arrived, they were supposed to go on a winery date that following morning, and then she forced him to go on a family outing together. So this is the second time. She literally sabotages any type of outside relationship or anything that he's doing that she's not a part of, which I just don't agree with. And you know what? Josh and Tina, his mom, I think their relationship is toxic too, but she still allows Josh to do things. He has a wife, he has kids, and they only have Friday night dates, right? Like, if it's not Friday night, she doesn't go and insert herself into his life.
Sorry, I have the hardest time being mean to moms in general, but I can't stand this woman from the pit of my soul.
So Tina, you can't stand.
She is the devil.
The
actual devil.
She definitely has strong hatred for Janelle, right? I feel like, and I was looking at the scenes tonight, and I was like, is it jealousy or is it hatred? Because it was like a fine line, because she was basically telling her she was dressed too pretty to be in her own home. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Well, what is she supposed to wear? She's supposed to wear a muumuu because she's like, you have kids. And I'm like, what does that have to do with how she dresses around her own house? And I think
she was saying to her how she mumbles under her breath. She does that all the time, constantly mumbling about her. Just everything she was saying, I'm thinking, dear Lord, if this was my mother-in-law, I would be in jail. Without a doubt, I would be in jail and divorced.
Well, I'm trying to understand why Janelle won't leave.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a picture from the outside of the house when they started filming their scenes. The house is nice. Yeah. You know, I don't know if it's like a rich people situation and she's, you know, there for the Louis bags. But I mean, she didn't get the Louis bag, the mom did. Yeah. But I don't know, like, why she puts up with living with, as I like to refer to her as Monster-in-Law. Yeah. Remember that movie Monster-in-Law with J-Lo? And every time I think of a bad mother-in-law situation, I remember that movie. And that was like the best portrayal for me of what it's like to live with a mother-in-law that wants your demise. Yeah. And I feel like, because she spewed hate in her words, because she was like, I was here first. And she was like, he's here because he will always be here with me. He doesn't want to be anywhere you are. He wants to be where. Like, everything that she said was so hateful. Yes. This is the mother of your grandkids. Yep. You know, like, so the way that you speak to her, because she's like, well, why are you here? Why would you say that? Because if she left, she would take your grandkids with her. Absolutely. So why would you say something like, why are you here? Like, she's just so hateful. And I think you nailed it, that she's the devil. Because a real grandmother wouldn't talk to the daughter-in-law that way, the person that birthed the grandkids. I know in my experience, grandparents love their grandkids and they wouldn't do anything to sacrifice the relationship with their grandkids. Seems like to me, if Janelle got on a plane and took the grandkids and went back to Florida, she wouldn't bat an eye, she wouldn't cry, she wouldn't miss them. And I think that that's pretty messed up. Yep.
My son and I are very, very close. I'll help him with anything in the world. But I love my daughter-in-law. I think she's fantastic. I have so much respect for her. I would never, ever insert myself into their marriage or into, like, if I needed a place to stay, I might spend the night there if I was like passing through or something. But I cannot imagine just the thought of even going into my son and his wife's bedroom, much less going through her closet to just help myself. I just can't. I cannot with this woman.
It's almost like marking territory, right? Like, she goes in and takes things, and then when she confronts her, she basically is like, eh. And so is the son. The son's just like, oh, you know, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter what the item was.
Yeah.
The situation is you should feel safe where your items are in the house, that people aren't stealing them and using them and destroying them. But you should feel safe in your own home. Right?
Absolutely.
Period. In the discussion. But he did stand up for Janelle in this episode, which he didn't do before, and he did call Ed, who was a ex of Tina's in the past, and set up a date on Friday night, which was their night.
Yeah.
They usually do things together. So he's growing a pair.
Yes.
Right? And I think that that's so important, you know, because when you're married, you have kids. I think I said this before. It should be an equal relationship, but again, your wife should always be your top priority, because she is responsible for the life and well-being of your children and you, right? Like, that's her vow that she took. She's gonna take care of you. You know, moms don't take vows. It's an unspoken vow, but you need to take care of the person that birthed your kids, right? So you always have to make her a priority. So I don't know how much of a foot down he's gonna put, because I know that if his mom said pick me or her, he's gonna pick his mom. Like, I know that. I know that's how it's gonna go. And I think that nobody should ever have to be in that situation. But I think he put himself in that situation.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because first of all, when he met, I don't know if you noticed, when he met Janelle, he was like, oh, she lives in Tampa. I lied and said I was gonna be in Tampa. And then he was like, so I booked a ticket. I pretended I was gonna be, and then I kept going back and forth. Then he got her pregnant. She didn't really have a choice, right? She didn't have a choice. He kind of trapped her. I hate to use that word, but he did. He flew to Tampa, knocked her up after lying and saying, oh, I'm in Tampa all the time. No, he's not. He lied. Then she had to, like she said, take one for the team and move to Boston or to Massachusetts. And now she's stuck. No family, no friends, and she's living with Satan, right? Like, she's literally living with Satan.
A house in Florida. She just wants to go there without the mom. Leave the mom behind right there where she's at.
Well, moms are supposed to visit on the holidays and on the kids' birthdays and everything. Like, and Florida's a perfect vacation spot. If the mom is in Massachusetts, it's a beautiful place. You can take grandma to the beach. You can take the kids to Legoland. Like, it's a perfect situation. But the mom needs to understand that at 60 years old, she's not going to have her sons living with her for the rest of her life.
Yes.
She needs either to find a new man or become independent. And I know it's hard. You know, the older you get and the more dependent you become on people, it's hard. But I think she has to start putting Josh's happiness ahead of her own.
Right.
Because, you know, as a mom, your kid's happiness should be more important than yours. And I feel like for her, she would rather be happy and Janelle be miserable. Yeah. And it's also a competition. I get like it's a competition. She likes the fact that Janelle is unhappy. And that's pretty toxic to me. Like, when she got that Louis bag, she was like, guess who doesn't have a Louis bag? Like, it's almost like a competition. And that's unhealthy. Y'all are all family.
Right. She's terrible. She's just terrible. And I hope that her Louis bag gets stolen when she goes out with Ed.
Well, Janelle should take it out of her room and just use it, right? That would be fair, right? Go in her room.
Ruin it.
And go out when it's raining or snowing, throw it in the ground, and then just say, oh, I didn't even know this was important to you. Yeah. I had no idea. It was just in your closet. Isn't that what she said? Like, I do believe in playing people's game. Yeah. And I think that would be a good game to play. Play the game with her and see how much she likes it from the other side. You know, because it's crazy to me.
I would love to watch that.
Hold on, there's one other Oh yeah, Tash and Lori, and Chase.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 weddings. Tash is getting married in Italy, so these people have money, first of all. Yep. They got money, and not only that, it's a destination wedding. She expects between 45 and 60 people to show up. Yep. Do you know how many times I get destination wedding invitations that I throw in the garbage?
Yeah.
Like, all the time. You got me. I am not flying to Cancun to watch you get married. We barely talk, right? So they have money. So she's shopping. So Tash is shopping with her mom. This was like something that her and her mom wanted to do. And Lori decided that she needed to be there to make sure Chase liked the dress. So I don't know how much that is relevant. I don't know of men liking the dress. I think men are just happy that the woman is there.
So I have so many different feelings on this one.
Really?
This one, yes, because I actually feel like Lori should have been invited to this dress fitting.
Really?
opinion. I got invited to my daughter-in-law's. My best friend got invited to her. Anyway, it's been a thing. But also because that's a wonderful experience. It's one of the most beautiful things. And Chase is an only child. So
Right.
she doesn't have a daughter. So she's like taking her in. I don't feel like Lori is a overbearing, pushy, like crazy mom. So far, all she's done really is hang out with Chase in his childhood bedroom when he came to visit and go to the wedding dress place. Now, as far as her trying on the dress, a little bit out of line. And the only reason I say a little bit is because she made the comment that she's getting married, which we all knew.
Yeah.
The bridal gown people are the one that said, "Do you want to try on a dress?" Push this on her. So she's like, yeah. So she did. Tried on one dress. It's not like she took up the whole day. She still included Tosh in her "I said yes" picture. Like, this mom is not that overpowering.
Well, when you put it like that, compared to Dia and Tina and Kelly, she's not the worst of the worst. I
Right.
agree with you. She can be way more. First of all, they don't even live in the same state. So Tash has her own house.
Yeah.
She has her own space. So she has a life outside of Lori. So you're right. You're right.
I
It
mean,
could be much worse.
my daughter-in-law, she didn't have to invite me. She absolutely didn't have to invite me, but she did. I would not, I have a son and a daughter. So I get the best of both worlds. I was very blessed that way. But the fact that she invited me, it made me feel very special. I I just sat back, watched her, let her pick her dress, enjoyed every moment. It was wonderful.
So you wouldn't have said like my son wouldn't like that,
Never.
or you just kind of you just kind
I
of it was
wouldn't say that.
just like an observation.
I
You were observing.
I was just there and I was honored to be there.
Okay.
I wouldn't be like, "Oh, his eyes would only like this," or "He doesn't like whatever." I wouldn't have inserted that, but I don't think it's out of line to invite this soon to be mom-in-law. I don't.
I mean, you're not wrong because don't when you get married, like one side is supposed to pay for the wedding dress, the other side's supposed to pay for the
Yeah.
reception. So like you're supposed to um get together and talk about and do these things together. And I think the whole purpose of it is because you're joining these two families, so y'all need to start making decisions and doing things together. I get that. I think that a lot of times with women, they want moments to themselves.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's what Tash and her mom, they're like, this is our thing. This is something that we wanted to do. And when you're marrying someone else, you're marrying another family. So I do think the right thing to do was to include her. I
Absolutely.
think that it didn't help that they don't like her. I think that didn't help because I feel like if they got along or if they didn't know each other well, it might have been better. But since they've been dealing with her for a while and they all have a bad taste in their mouth about her, I think that the situation went the way that they wanted it to go. They wanted her to be annoying and she annoyed them. But I think that her trying on a dress, she should have said, "Hey, hold that for me, and I'll come back."
I don't think that was great. I don't think that was great. I'm not saying that was a good idea, but I'm also saying that it wasn't her idea. It was literally the salespeople.
Well, yeah, because they're just trying to make a sale. Because remember, Tash didn't find nothing she liked.
Yes.
They were pouring wine, and they wasted probably a good hour and a half, made no commission whatsoever. So when they saw that Lori might take a bite, they were like, "Yo, yeah, you want to try this on? This $5,000 dress, try it on." They don't care either way. They want to make their commission because at the end of the day, they're not volunteering their time. Like they're not pouring the wine for free. So the salespeople could care less how anybody felt. They just wanted somebody to buy a dress.
Yeah. And
I just think she should have just said, "Nah, I'm good," or she said, "Save it for me. I'll come back when I'm doing this for me."
Yep.
And then would have been nice. She should have invited them to hers. Return favor.
She shouldn't have tried it on. She should have just been like, "I'll take a business card and I will definitely come back."
Yeah, because she's getting married first. So, you know, I get the urgency
Yeah.
of her situation too. So like I see it from both sides, because obviously the destination wedding is like months and months out.
Right.
And Lori's wedding is like 6 weeks away. It's just quicker. So I get it. I understand the urgency of everything. But when you're dealing with women and weddings and dresses and receptions and what do you call it, invitations, I know women can be very, very particular. I used to watch Bridezillas. You remember the show Bridezillas?
Yes.
And I know that you do not mess with a woman that has to do with anything with her wedding, the reception, the dress, anything, the shoes. She will knock you the hell out, right? Like you have to be very careful. And I just think that, you know, I think that it wasn't as big as it was. It wasn't a big situation. I just think that when women are getting married, they need to be the princess in the room. And anyone that looks like they're wearing a tiara in the room with them is the enemy. And I think that's just what happened.
Yes, I agree.
So, so last week we saw that Matt was doing speed dating.
Yeah.
He brought Kelly with him. We didn't get to talk about it. They weren't on this week, but he was meeting women, which seemed to be going well. And then Kelly would insert herself and scare them away. And I think that Kelly, it reminds me of Tina in a way. I feel like she's kind of intimidated by the idea of Matt having an outside relationship with a woman. And I think that that's a toxic situation, because Matt's like, I'm 30 something years old. I'm single. I live with my mom in her garage area. He's like, why is this my life? And he's realizing she's the problem, right? Because he's dated lots of women. None of them ran away screaming until they met her, right?
Exactly.
And I know she loves her son, right? Like I know Kelly loves him, but I also think Kelly's obsessed with him. And there's a difference, right? Because, you know, Tina's obsessed with her twins. I think when you're obsessed with your kids and you love your kids, that's where the line gets crossed. And then you start like closing situation doors for them. Like you see a woman and you see that the woman is great and they might get married. So you start being a complete bitch to her to get out of the picture. And I think that's where things, you know, start to get crazy, because I really wanted Matt to work out with Devin. Remember at the end of the last season, he was with Devin and things were really positive. And he had ended that relationship with Brittany, and that was bad. And then Devin, she was more mature. She had kids. She had more going on. I thought it was going to work out. And then he didn't give much of an explanation. He just said, she texted and said it's over. And I was like, wonder how much it had to do with Kelly, right? Like he didn't tell us, but I know it had something to do with her, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he's in a lose-lose situation.
Well, he's gonna have to get married and be in a good relationship. He's got to lose the relationship with his mom. You can't have both.
And move off her property.
Yeah, because again, you can't move a woman, because we're watching this with Janelle and Josh and Tina. You can't move a woman into your mom's house or onto your mom's property.
Yes.
It's just not going to work.
Well,
right?
Like last season when he had her over and mom just comes walking in.
And
like,
looking through the window. Do you remember? She was looking through the window.
Yeah, and tore the whole bush out with her quad. And like, you can't do that. You just can't do that.
It's scaring the women away, because women don't want to feel like they need to be in competition for love.
Absolutely.
You know, because they need stability and they need to feel wanted, and not that someone could come and take the person away from them.
Yes.
I think that that's how the women feel in his life, because Kelly is always going to get the last word. And when you're in a relationship, no matter how many times a guy says he loves you, his mom can say, no, you don't.
Yeah. And
then he's got to break. Like, no woman wants to be in the situation where somebody else decides the fate of her relationship. And that's really what it comes down to. Kelly decides who stays and who goes.
Yeah.
So no woman is going to be in a situation where Kelly gets to decide that. No one is crazy. Nobody is going to give that, like, if you don't feel stable in your own, what if they move in with him, things are going great, and then one day Kelly's like, this is my property, you have to leave. Because she can do that. This is literally her property. She could call the police and kick you off her property. This is literally how much power she has.
Yeah, that's terrifying for any woman.
Yeah. Yeah. So if he's able to cut the cord and get a relationship, you know, but sometimes this is good though, because Kelly might look at it as, I could lose him completely, or I could let go a little and be in his life where he allows.
Yeah.
Because I've seen this situation play out in different ways. Like some people, their daughter or son marries someone they hate and then they cut them off. Or they marry someone they hate and then they say, I'm going to insert myself in their life where they allow me. I'm just going to not say anything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cause chaos in their life. I don't have to agree, but I also don't want to ruin our relationship and X them out of my life forever. So Kelly will probably have to learn how to love him from a distance,
Yeah.
and just be a normal mom. Show up on birthdays and Christmas and Thanksgiving and 4th of July, and know when not to show up.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to be the key, and I think that's going to be the hardest thing for her. You're not supposed to be there all the time, right? Yeah. And that's why you don't have a grandbaby yet, because it's impossible for him to make one. Absolutely. Because you're always there, right? Like you're always. It's not possible for you to have a grandbaby if you don't let him have one.
These shows make me so grateful that my daughter found a great husband and my son found a great wife. Like, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and you didn't scare them away, right? Like, so you did your part as a mother, and you were accepting and loving, and now everybody is in a healthy place. Yep. You see them, you don't have any animosity or issues or anger or fighting. And it's nice. Like I said, I love watching the shows that make me feel better about my life choices, right? Because I was like, man, it could be way worse, right? It could be way worse. Like
1,000-pound sisters comes back this week.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you're right. I think on tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow, right? I think tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
I'm definitely. Oh, is it today?
No,
I missed it.
It's either tomorrow or Wednesday. I can't remember.
Oh, Wednesday. Okay, I'm gonna watch that. I'm obsessed with the Slanton sisters, and I heard Tammy is really skinny, and I heard she's dating because last season her boyfriend passed away. So like,
husband.
I know, or her husband, right, her husband. Yeah. So yeah, I want to catch up with the Slanton sisters. I know the last season they were in Florida, and I remember what's her name? Amy punched her sister. You remember that? Like it got crazy. So yeah, I'm excited for them to come back. I think 1,000-pound Best Friends is back too.
Yeah,
if y'all watch that one, I know they're still following their weight loss journey.
I think it's a couple weeks for that one.
Oh, that was not back yet? Okay, good. I don't want them all to be back at the same time. I need time, right?
Yeah.
To like watch everything. I can't watch everything at once.
Yeah.
Like I hate it when there's like 30 shows on at once, and I feel like I can't keep up.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so we're gonna come back Sunday. Fingers crossed. I have power and I'm not like floating.
Yeah.
So we'll be back on Sunday so we can talk about Before the 90 Days. Also, I have a date for Dee Dee to come back. She told me, what date it is. I'm really, really excited. Less than a month from now, we will be all reunited after all this time. So I'm excited. It's been forever. The gang will be all back together and we can do all this together again, which I nothing that I want more. I miss you guys whenever you aren't here. And thank you to Gina. She's been filling in during this time. She's awesome. Thank you. Oh, make sure you're following my co-host, Cara. She's tagging this video. Follow me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, georgemossey.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, type in The George Mossey Show. Oh, and on Friday, Shabuti and I will be doing the 90 Day Fiancé Fridays. If you want to listen live, it's on Twitter. Or if you want to listen to the replay, it'll be on Spotify and Apple Music on Saturday. Everybody have a wonderful week. If you're in Florida like me, stay very, very safe. Be very vigilant. And we'll talk to y'all really soon.
Okay. Sending love and prayers. Love you.
Love you. Bye. Bye.